I've been listening to Clipse's new album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, for the past couple of days, and it always feels premature to give analyses as quickly as social media expects one to have them, especially when it comes to real hip hop, lyrically meaningful and dense poetry that often uses a lot of lyrical devices like simile, metaphor, double or triple entendre, the elements that have mattered in hip hop since rappers like Big Daddy Kane and Rakim came through and upped the level of lyricism that influenced rappers who came after them, like Biggie, like Nas, like Jay-Z, like Kendrick, like Pusha T, like Malice. In listening to this album, I've really only been focused on the first 3 tracks so far. So this is by no means an analysis, but just my initial thoughts on the album. What these 3 tracks have me thinking about. The track I've been listening to the most is actually track 1, The Birds Don't Sing. It's sad, and although the subject matter is heavy, it really grounds the listener in where Clipse is right now. The level of adulthood that they're in, the level of clarity, spirituality, and grownness, and their connection to the human condition. A lot of the critique of Clipse, and more so Pusha T over the years, has been that everything's about crack. Everything's about the crack game, and there's not enough variety in subject matter. So for them to open up with a song like Birds Don't Sing, one that is about grief and loss, a universal theme, something that's going to touch practically everyone. That is an experience that unfortunately most people have, the loss of parents in the generation that they're in. That is a common occurrence, even as I think of myself as an older millennial. I'm so grateful to God that I still have both of my parents. My daddy is 80 years old and still here, and the song just made me ever more grateful for my living parents. And I think that's part of what empathy does. Art that makes you feel empathy. It makes you consider your own life condition and how it compares to what it is that you're listening to. I watched an interview of Clipse when they were talking about recording this song and how they recorded it in Pharrell's Louis Vuitton studio, and they were sitting at a table, tears streaming down, and the folks who were in the room were crying, and I get it. The words were simple but heartfelt. The clarity that I referred to comes from that spiritual clarity of understanding when a life cycle of somebody who is in your life is coming to an end, and even in hindsight, understanding what the signs were, which is what Push talks about in verse 1. For Malice, for verse 2, it makes me think about just the value of having a father and the difference that that makes in one's life, even if you make wrong choices, whether those be criminal choices or life choices. The groundedness that comes from having a dad. It makes me think of Kendrick Lamar, the times that he's spoken about his father and how he was one of the few in his neighborhood who grew up with an active father, and the difference that that made in his career. And I see that with Push and Malice just through this song. I watched her Tiny Desk, and watching them perform this song, the emotion was thick, but at the same time you could see the catharsis in their face, the healing that comes from sharing these deep emotions. How bold is it to open up with a track this serious as track number 1? Makes me think of pre-Super Bowl when Kendrick had these NFL promo videos where he was driving around with Timothy Chalamet, and he talked about how he's at a point in his career where he could put a track like Man at the Garden at track 3, a song that would normally be a deeper cut because of its seriousness. Standard hip-hop album songs like that go near the end, and with Birds Don't Sing being track 1, it makes me think of the same thing. That's a song that would normally go near the end of an album sequence-wise, but it roots you in the now, where they are now. It was also quite interesting to hear them with John Legend. I haven't kept up with who John Legend is with now musically, but for Clipse and John Legend to both have been good music, and to hear them with these stripped down type of raw emotion and vocals that would normally be accompanied by Kanye production was also an interesting experience. But I love the song, and just how they were able to describe grief in a way that is relatable and still had a tinge of hope and gratitude was masterful. Infamous Chains and Whips. I'm still listening to this song, of course, the thing that everybody's talking about with this one is Kendrick's verse. And I've been listening to it a lot and comparing it to the last time I heard a collaboration with Kendrick and Pusha T, which was Nostalgia, where Kendrick has that infamous rhyme scheme where it's 10, 10, 10. 9 times out of 10, they don't pay attention. Kendrick did that, and he did that on this one too. Just the repetition of that sound, Jen, Jen, Jen. How he used it as a rhyme, as a homonym, I believe it is, where you're using a letter sound that's spelled different ways, like Jen and Jinx, Jinx. Sorry, getting into the nerd poetry part of myself. But yeah, the growth in the rhyme scheme of 10 compared to Jen. Jen usually meaning birth, like when you think of Genesis in the Bible or genealogy, the birth history. How he's making a commentary. I was watching Company Man's reaction to Chains and Whips, the whole verse, and how there's a theory that he's rapping from Trump's perspective, which I think is fascinating. But even in thinking about GNX and Kendrick's latest music and how he's been appealing to Gen Z, and Gen Z is kind of what has helped propel his popularity more because the music that he's creating is appealing more to that generation. I wonder if there's a subtle reference to that, just the generational existences of folks in this country. But yeah, I ain't ready to dig into that real deep. I just thought it was tight. That's all I gotta say about that right now. And then track 3, my takeaway for P.O.V. I love the hook. It feels very classic Pusha T. I'm trying to think of what song it was on It's Almost Dry that this reminds me of. But there's a track on that album that has a similar type of cadence to the hook, and it's not coming to me right now, but it's a fun song, and it really shows that Tyler, the creator, has become that dude. When you look at the start of his career, him eating a cockroach in that video. That's when my awareness of Tyler, the creator, began. So for him to go from there to just thinking about the reaction of him when he came out at the pop out and how he has become so ingrained in this current landscape of hip hop, it makes me proud of his career and grateful for his uniqueness and proof that being your genuine self, as long as that genuine self is interesting and creative and original, wins every time. It wins every time. And even though I'm still making my way through this album, just the impressions that I have are that this album shows more of that cultural shift that's been occurring. In the past, one would think of Clipse as washed up or they're too old to be rapping. You know, when you think about the critiques that Jay-Z got over the years, he's too old, he's too old. Even when you think about the reason why Andre 3000 doesn't rap anymore, because he feels too old. The Clipse technically is quote unquote older, they're older than I, but they're still sharp. They've still been keeping themselves up. When you look at their skin, Pusha T just looks so much brighter and happier with his brother, and Malice looked like he'd been drinking his water and minding his business and eating his vegetables. The real flex these days is aging gracefully. The flex is wellness. The flex is maintaining artistic integrity, still being able to be creative and incorporate what's going on in your life currently to the music or the art that you're creating, which for the artists who aren't as successful in doing that, we see how their albums are being reacted to. It's a sign of the times that real lyricism, straight up rap and quality and slickness of words in combination with great production and appropriate features are elements that make a great hip-hop album. Is this a classic? Time will tell. I don't know. I haven't made it through the whole track list because I keep listening to tracks 1, 2, and 3, but from where I am now, I can't say that the music is quality. So I'm going to continue to listen, and as I have more thoughts, I may share them with you all. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Are you enjoying this album? If so, what's your favorite track? Was it what you expected? Let me know how y'all feeling about the Clipse right now, and I will holla at y'all later. If you enjoyed this commentary, please subscribe. I talk about creativity and holistic wellness. Sometimes it's my art, sometimes it's wisdom, but we love to have conversations that elevate our consciousness and show appreciation for words and creativity. So if that's your vibe, subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace out.
It's always just been present day, real life, real times, things that we are going through currently. You know what I'm saying? And that, I think that's what makes it easy, because we never like chase trends or chase what's going on. It's just who we are.